Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and the IRS is kind of at it again. This is kind of a big story that's been happening right now, and we should probably really get on it. Apparently, they're going to be using deadly force. Yeah, you heard that right, deadly force. Now, there's a lot of things that I have to go over to actually confirm all this stuff that's going on, but they are using deadly force here, and it ain't looking too great. But like I said, there's a lot of information in the back end we're going to go over, so you guys get the full disclosure of what's going on, including some extra news that, well, you middle class people may want to know, which you probably already know because you're smarter than the average bird. But I digress. Here we have is IRS hiring agents that must carry gun, use deadly force during dangerous assignments. Well, that doesn't sound too good. Well, considering they added about 81,000 extra auditors, and we all know they're going to be tackling the middle class, that doesn't sound too great, does it? Let's read through this. The Internal Revenue Service, IRS, is hiring special agents that will be required to carry a firearm and be willing to use deadly force during possible dangerous assignments, according to a job posting on the IRS website. Well then, that doesn't look too good. The special agents will be part of an IRS Criminal Investigation Division, described as the service's law enforcement branch, which is designed to combine accounting skills with law enforcement skills to investigate financial crimes. The position's major duties include maintain honesty and integrity, work at least 50 hours each week, including regular hours, be on call 24/7, including holidays and weekends, maintain physical readiness to effectively respond to life-threatening situations on the job, carry a gun, and be willing to use deadly force if necessary. Participate in arrests, execution of search warrants, and other dangerous assignments. We don't really know what those assignments would be, so the IRS is offering a salary of $50,000 to $89,000 per year for the position. The job advertisement has been posted since February, but it's gaining renewed attention in the wake of Democrats' latest bill, which includes nearly $80 billion in funding for the IRS. The massive funding boost will allow the IRS to hire nearly 87,000 new employees, more than doubling the service's current size and making larger than the Pentagon, State Department, FBI, and Border Control combined. That's terrifying in on itself. Remember, guys, when we wanted less government power? Yeah, well, apparently we're getting more government power. We all know where that leads. The Biden administration claimed on Tuesday that no one making under $400,000 per year will face new audits as a result of the funding. Notably, an amendment to the bill that would have forced the IRS to follow that standard, limiting new audits to those making $400,000 or more per year, failed 50-50 in the Senate. Well, here's the thing. We're going to be looking at an actual article, and yes, I know it's from our blasphemous Fox News, but it's showing us what's actually going on here, alright? So, calm down. Calm down. I know, Fox News is not the greatest here, but we're using it as kind of like a idea line, alright? Calm down. Calm down. You two leftists. You too. You calm down. Anywho, every Democrat voted against the proposal, whereas every Republican voted in favor of protecting low and middle-class income-earning American taxpayers from an onslaught of audits from an army of new Internal Revenue Service auditors, funded by an unprecedented nearly $80 billion infusion of new funds. According to IRS data, more than half of the audits performed in 2021 targeted taxpayers making less than $70,000 per year, as reported by the Washington Post. Additionally, over 70% of audits were aimed at taxpayers who received the Earned Income Tax Credit, which is a measure to help reduce poverty. Senator John Barrasso, widely said that funding will put the IRS on steroids. You don't need that many IRS agents to go after a few people they say are very, very rich. Barrasso said, adding families, farmers, and the small business of America is who's going to bear the burden of this legislation. The Washington Post reported that the experts believe lower income earners are more often targeted by the IRS audits because they don't have the means to push back, unlike wealthy people who can hire accountants and lawyers to fight the IRS enforcement. Yeah, even the Washington Post is saying stuff like this. And that's terrifying in this in itself because we all know how terrible the Washington Post is. So now if we go here, so we have all of this stuff here that kind of relates to it. But here's the bigger thing. We have this stuff here where we have that by Ford Fisher himself. The IRS is hiring new special agents. Blah, blah, blah. We know all this already. So we know there are major duties, as it is, and then they will combine accounting skills with law enforcement skills to investigate financial crimes. All income earned, both legal and illegal, has the potential of becoming involved in crimes which fall within the investigative jurisdiction of the IRS. So, right now we are going to go exactly to what this is talking about. I will pop this up on the screen, so don't worry. Who are we? Well, evil. That's what you are. But I digress. Criminal investigation is the law enforcement branch of the IRS. Our mission is to serve the American public by investigating potential criminal violations of the Internal Revenue Code and related financial crimes in a manner that fosters confidence in the tax system and compliance with the law. As a special agent, you will combine your accounting skills with law enforcement skills to investigate financial crimes. Special agents are duly sworn law enforcement officers who are trained to follow the money, no matter what the source. All income earned, both legal and illegal, has the potential of becoming involved in crimes which fall within the investigative jurisdiction of the IRS criminal investigation. Because of the expertise required to conduct these complex financial investigations, IRS special agents are considered the premier financial investigators for the federal government. Criminal investigation special agents are part of the diverse workforce of millions of tax-paying public we serve. I don't think he really serves the public. I think he steals from the public, but I digress. While these newly hired feds are required to carry a firearm and be willing to use deadly force if necessary, the government adds that criminal investigation special agents are part of a diverse workforce that mirrors the taxpaying public we serve. So, already said. So we're going to go on to between March 1 and June 1st, 2022, the criminal investigator of the IRS ordered $696,000 in ammunition. The IRS told Verify in an email. In 2018 report, the IRS was shown to generally spend $670,000 on ammunition a year in the previous 7 years. The job listings for special agents at the IRS links to the department's 2021 annual report. Here's a few images for the front of the report, which is linked in entirely below. So, we have all this stuff here. Great. Now, to be fair, applying for the job doesn't exclusively mean participating in operations within the bounds of the United States. It's also apparently international. Special agents could also be assigned to the cyber crime unit, which the report describes as seizing $3.5 billion in cryptocurrency, which they say is 93% of the criminal investigation seizures last year, which will make sense because it wasn't really legally done or what have you, so that kind of makes sense. They highlight the case of the Ukrainian cyber criminal facing 17 years. The job listing page that I linked to the screenshot at the beginning of this thread is now unavailable on the US website. Now, there's some things about this that it's talking about, could be that the fact that they didn't really delete it, but it's getting so much traffic that it's shutting it down, which is a possibility. So it doesn't mean they necessarily shut it down. It could mean that you're getting so much traffic it's hurting the website. That does happen, so let's take that for instance. But now we're going to go over to here. Now, we have this, but we're only going to read a slight part of it. Now, we know that so apparently this criminal investigation thing has been around since July 1st of 1919. So it's been out here for quite a while. Annual budget's $1.2 billion, so they just got an extra $79 billion and all that great stuff. So, we all know that. It goes on to say, though, according to the information on the IRS website, the conviction rate for federal tax prosecutors has never been below 90%. The IRS asserts that their conviction rate is among the highest, and that is a record that is unmatched in the federal law enforcement. According to the 2019 annual report, 1,500 investigations were initiated by IRS-CI, with 942 prosecutions recommended and 848 sentenced. IRS-CI is founding a member of the Joint Chiefs Global Tax Enforcement, a global joint operation offshore group formed in mid-2018 to combine transnational tax crime. IRS-CI is also a member of the agency of the Organized Crime Drug Enforcement Task Force, a federal drug enforcement program concerned with such major drug trafficking operations and related crimes, such as money laundering, tax and weapon violations, and violent crime. Okay, so we kind of get the idea that this has kind of been around for a while now. But let's add a little insult to injury here, because now we have this from, I get it, Fox, but this is from Fox Business, so middle-class Americans to bear brunt of IRS audits under Dem inflation bill analysis shows. Americans making less than $75,000 would be subject to 710,863 additional audits, according to the analysis. So, it goes to say, the analysis, which is a conservative estimate based upon recent audit rates and tax filing data, shows that the individuals with an annual income of $75,000 or less would be subject to 710,000 accepting audits by the IRS. While those making more than $1 million would receive 52,000 audits under the bill. The legislation, the Inflation Reduction Act, would roughly double the IRS budget to increase enforcement and therefore federal tax revenue. Value shoppers at Walmart and other retailers already struggling with higher prices and more expensive fuel to drive to the store will get hit with 710,000 additional audits thanks to the mentioned Biden Democrat bill. House Ways and Means Committee ranking member Kevin Brady, our Texas, said in a statement after releasing the study. Every retailer in the U.S. who cares about their hard-hit customers should be fighting to block this unnecessary harassment of hardworking Americans, he added. I agree. Overall, the IRS will be conducting more than 1.2 million more annual audits of Americans' tax returns. According to the analysis, another 236,000 of the estimated additional audits would target individuals with an annual income of 75,000 and 200,000 to boost tax enforcement. The Inflation Reduction Act would appropriate more than $79 billion in additional funds to the IRS over the next decade, nearly doubling the agency's current budget. Yeah, I agree. The IRS is expected to hire tens of thousands of more agents to enhance enforcement efforts that are projected to increase revenue by $224 billion. In response to criticism about the Thursday expected uptake tax and tax audits under the bill, IRS Commissioner Charles Rittage said Thursday that audit rates will not increase relative to recent years. The legislation doesn't explicitly guarantee that Americans are making under $400,000 won't say tax increases under the IRS provision. The bill states that it is not intended to increase rates for taxpayers who aren't in the top 1% of earners. There is a language in this bill that provides some guidelines, but it's not all a guarantee. William McBride, the Vice President of Federal Tax and Economic Policy at the Nonpartisan Tax Foundation, told Fox Business in an interview, it indicates that the intent of the increased spending is not to target those earning less than $400,000, but intent is a somewhat squishy word. The fact of the matter is most returns report income under $100,000, he continued. That's where the money is, so to speak. McBride added that middle-class Americans aren't able to afford the same resources as wealthy individuals to avoid scrutiny. Those are certainly more resources as you go up in the income scale or more expertise, and the IRS knows it, he told Fox Business. They will need to increase the audit rates on middle-class and low-income folks to get the sort of revenues they're claiming from this, McBride said. People who don't have the resources get a letter in the mail from IRS threatening them. What are they going to do? It might be an increase of a few bucks, but a few $100 that the IRS is requesting. Rather than go out and try to get a lawyer to fight it, they generally pay it. The White House referred Fox Business back to her next comments. So, that's what's happening, guys. I know it's a little bit creepy that I don't really like the IRS, and I don't want them in my life either. They take money from hardworking Americans just to make their own buck, which is absolutely ridiculous. So they are terrible, and I don't like them. And right now, we're seeing a pretty bad push for the IRS and what they're doing. But at least we know that that they've been here for a while, and it's not too as bad as they were making it seem, but it's not great either. Because now, if they're going to use force against people that they're not going to pay or whatever, there's going to be a huge problem. We'll see what happens, guys, but it's not looking good for us at all. Alright, like, subscribe, share, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.